Hello, Billy Reeves here. Welcome to episode 167 of the Kscope podcast. As the mornings are getting brighter, the daffs are out, spring is round the corner, so we're thinking about regeneration and replenishment, as well as talking about the Record Store Day special editions we've just announced. We'll also be celebrating some of the other reissues that Kscope have either released recently or have on the horizon, delving into our interview archive. So if you're a fan of the label or you've never heard of us, this is the episode for you. As coming up, we'll hear from Mike Vennart, Stephen Wilson, Bruce Soord, Kristoffer Rygg and Aviv Geffen. Kscope are re-releasing quite a bit of the wonderful catalogue of the amazing Oceansize, the Mancunian Mogwai, starting with Home and Minor, on orange vinyl for Record Store Day, its first time on vinyl, so that is why I'm catching up with Mike Vennart, Oceansize's front person. And in case you're unaware of his other work, he's been Biffy Clyro's other guitarist for many years, and also plays with Biffy's Simon Neil in their heavy side project, Empire State Bastard, as well as upon his own. So before we hear from Mike, here's Oceansize, the opening track of Home and Minor, Legal Teens. Oceansize, Legal Teens, one of 6 tracks you'll find on the mini-album stroke EP on orange vinyl on Kscope, coming out on Record Store Day, which is called Home and Minor. So with all these records coming out on Kscope from the Oceansize back catalogue, I caught up with Mike Vennart recently, and of course had to ask him how and why.
How did we do it? Well, the option was always to self-release these records. We got the rights back from the old label. They weren't really doing anything with it, those records have not been in print since they were put out, and if you look at the prices on Discogs, it was plain to see somebody had to put them out again.
Kscope, perfect home, I would have thought.
Yeah, Kscope. Well, they expressed an interest, and what got me interested was their sort of dedication to luxurious packages, and they were up for sort of preserving the legacy of the music, and the other stuff, like the frames stuff and the self-preserved while the bodies float up stuff, which is going to be coming out at some point. There'll be a whole bunch of extras that people haven't heard. There's so much stuff, particularly from the last record, that didn't get finished, and didn't, but it's still great. I really like the idea that these records will be kept in print, because incrementally and perhaps quite minutely, the reputation of the band does grow year after year, and that's really something to us. I think it's really important, and it just bummed me out that the records weren't in print, But I'm delighted that this particular record's coming out on vinyl. I'm a real vinyl fetishist, so that's all I spend my money on is vinyl and pedals. So for Kscope to pick up the second half of the back catalogue of the old band is really fabulous. I'm really buzzing about it.
What's your relationship with the record now? You were a much younger man then, of course.
I did listen to it just to make sure the test pressing worked for a start. This is quite a controversial record in the Oceansize canon, because it's very different to everything else we did. It was, with that band, I can point towards every record as being a very specific era, and of being, and there's a certain story attached to each record, and a certain mindset and a certain state of panic on certain things. Maybe on some records we had a little more ambition. Maybe on some records we were really up against it and frightened. Maybe on some records we were just cocky as fuck. On this record, we were like just frantically trying to do something we hadn't done before. We'd always talked about, even before we got signed, we'd always talked about making a record that didn't do any of the big heavy stuff. And then after we'd done Frames, it just the record company at the time wanted an EP, so I said, well, let's do it now. Let's do that freaky EP where it's not all heavy metal, guns blazing, and we just try something else. And we don't have to rely on dynamics as such. Just do something a little more. I don't know. I was going to say more user friendly, but I think riffs are a lot more user friendly, aren't they?
I mean, sometimes you have to catastrophize if you want to be artistic. That tension works sometimes, I think. Have you taken that experience with Oceansize into your life as a sideman in other groups, Biffy, Clyro and the like? Have you learnt from the experience of being in Oceansize as a young man, do you think?
Well, catastrophizing is a really good word, Billy, because I definitely do catastrophize in my everyday life. At the drop of a hat, the world's about to fucking end for me. So I think that Oceansize was such a pressure cooker, and we all demanded a lot of each other, and if anybody wasn't living up to their own hype, then they get their ass handed to them. I was more than happy then, after the end of that band, to go and just be this anonymous guy who gets to play songs that he didn't write and just fucking have fun, let somebody else worry about everything. I still enjoy that. And it was great to just not worry about anything for a while, just play the guitar, and I still enjoy it. But I see what you're getting at, totally.
You're still creating your own stuff though, yeah?
Oh yeah. I mean, I just put out an album a couple of weeks ago, and I, similarly, I don't have to argue with anyone about the records. I just make them and argue with myself about it, and that's torture enough, I can be quite argumentative with myself.
Oceansize, a snippet of Didneyland from Home and Minor, out on Record Store Day. My thanks to Mike Vennart. So look out for Kscope editions from Oceansize of Frames, Feed to Feed, self-preserved while the bodies float up, as well as Home and Minor. And there's quite a bit of live footage from those heady days, so keep your eyes peeled. Vennart is out on tour with Empire State Bastard through the States in May, followed by some European festival dates. And we'll hear more from Mike in future Kscope podcasts. And of course, in case you didn't know, our friends I Am the Morning, of course, named themselves after an Oceansize song. That's your stat of the day. Now then, the Pineapple Thief are out on a massive tour through Europe over the next few weeks. We'll see you at the beautiful Shepherd's Bush Empire on March the 16th, all in support of their brand new LP, It Leads to This. I shall play you their new single in a bit. Now, the Pineapples are heading towards 25 years in show business, incredibly. So there's going to be a series of reissues, special editions of their early years stuff on the way here at Kscope Towers, including 8 Days Later, 137, Abducted at Birth. Here's Bruce's take on their longevity after early struggles.
Everyone always, they always say, "Oh, Bruce, about success. You know, ask me about success." And I say, I never think about success. All I think about is music. I know it sounds really trite, but it's true. I just think about making the best music possible, and the success that we are having, that's just a byproduct. Gavin's fairly new, relatively speaking, 2016. But I've known Steve since 1996, and I met John in 1991. So it's like a long, long time. And Steve, he's in the studio just up the road in Exeter. And so whenever I'm writing, the first thing I do is I send it to Steve, and then he just straight away, just frank. He's so frank. It's too frank. He'll say things like, "Oh, that just sounds like old man rock." Or, you know, dad, that just sounds like Dad trying to do, you know, especially if I try and to sort of, you know, have a little dance with electronica, you know. It says, "Oh, you just sound like someone that does, you know, that's just..."
You think being a keyboard player and a studio nerd, he'd be up for some
Well, exactly.
beats.
So he takes over, you know, he takes and that's what's happened with the Pineapple Thief, you know. If I come up with some ideas and it's on a keyboard, the first thing I say, well, obviously I've got to get rid of all those horrible keyboard sounds.
did you do on this average day? Wipe your feet clean, wipe your feet clean, and be on your way. And you left him, and you left him to wash away. Why did you leave him? You left him to wash away. And you left him. Why did you leave him to wash away? Why did you leave him? Why did you leave him to wash away?
From the 10 Stories Down era, The Pineapple Thief, Wednesday the Snail Song from 8 Days Later. There's going to be a new 2 CD set of EPs from 2003 and 2004 coming out on the 3rd of May. And the new single, Every Trace of Us. You can see the lyric video for that up on the Kscope channels. The album, It Leads to This, is out now and the tour is on sale now. We'll see you at Shepherd's Bush. Up next, it's been 10 years since our friend, co-founder and the first guest on the Kscope podcast, Mr. Stephen Wilson, released his marvellous, award-winning, top 10 chart-bothering The Raven That Refused to Sing. So, to celebrate, a 2LP glow-in-the-dark edition, yes, we can do that now, hits the shops 22nd of March. Around the time of the original release, I was honoured to join Stephen and the band at rehearsal. It was a return to a more 70s sound, that album, wasn't it? So I challenged Stephen about the fans' reaction.
This album is being very well received, and people say to me, they almost ask me the question, the implication sometimes is, did you intend to make a really good record this time? As if I don't do that every time, you know. And I realise that obviously some records kind of tend to resonate better with more people than others, and this record, for whatever reason, seems to be really connecting.
Did they perhaps mean make a more commercial record this time? Which
no,
isn't particularly...
No, because I don't think it is. I think there's a sense that some people are saying to me, well done for, making a record, a really good record, as if... Because maybe they didn't dig Grace for Drowning so much, they didn't dig the Storm Corrosion record.
Right, interesting.
And the implication is somehow that I've made this decision to make a better record than I did last time. But of course that's absurd. I always set out to make a record that I'm completely 100% believe in.
It's a very pretty record, this record, Stephen.
Is it?
Yes.
I mean,
it's got its awkward bits, but it's very pretty generally.
I haven't really analysed too much. It's a little bit more old school. It kind of nods itself a bit more to the 70s kind of era, a little bit more obviously perhaps than the previous records.
Yeah. Do you therefore see yourself as a progressive musician as part of a continuum of excellence?
Yes and no. I will elaborate, don't worry. I know exactly what you mean, and the answer is yes. I do feel that there is something about that era that was very, very special, and I feel to an extent that it is a little bit of a lost art. The way people made records then, the ambition, the experimentation, the fearlessness as in regard to the to being overreaching or pretentious or ambitious, all the things that people can sort of use to damn this kind of music, for me are also the things that are great about it. Yeah. It is pretentious, it is overreaching, it is ambitious, it's kind of reaching for the stars, and sometimes that means you fall flat on your face. And I love that about the early 70s era of musicians, not just from the scene that we're talking about, but also from the worlds of jazz, singer-songwriter music, even pop. Some of the pop music from the 70s still sounds extraordinarily unique when compared to the kind of generic banality of modern popular music. So I think, yes, the answer to your question. But the other side of me says, I don't want to be living in the shadow of anything. And although my music has obviously got references back to the past, and indeed there is no music that does not.
Yeah, of course.
There is no music that does not have references back to the past. And I wonder if ever it was the case that actually all music, I mean, even, we sometimes sort of look on bands like the Beatles and Led Zeppelin as if they came out of a vacuum. And of course, nothing could be further from the truth. They both stole shamelessly from previous eras of music. And I think the same is true now. But at the same time, I don't like the idea that the music is simply, a kind of a nostalgic homage to... It is that. It has got elements of that, but it also, I think, is the kind of record that could only have been made by me in 2012.
A reminder of the wonderful coda of the title track from The Raven Refused to Sing by Stephen Wilson. Now, around the time that Porcupine Tree were getting massive 2 decades ago, Stephen started making records with the hugely successful Israeli glam rocker Aviv Geffen as Blackfield. Well, Kscope are issuing a 20th anniversary on orange marbled vinyl of the debut LP by Blackfield on the 31st of May, which gives me the excuse to revisit my chat from way back with Aviv when he visited London 12 years ago. And we had a nice chat about he and Stephen Wilson being somewhat chalk and cheese.
The difference between me and Stephen, that I have this star thing. Really, I'm a really epic person. I got amazing life story, nearly like Forrest Gump. I'm involved with like politics, you know, and I'm wearing like makeup on stage, wearing dresses. He's more sort of like down to earth, but this is why it works so nicely, because I'm like big than life. I'm like really glammy rock, and he's like more shy. But it's great. That's why it goes and works out so nicely, I think.
Okay. How much does your political activity sort of seep into your work? I mean, is it a sort of like overriding theme? Does it stop you from writing kind of traditional rock and roll songs? How much do your politics and your political beliefs seep into your art?
I believe that songs can change the world. I think that pen and paper can be more deadly than any tank. But of course, during the interviews, during the touring with Blackfield, I'm speaking all the time, because I want to tell the people. So I guess I'm coming from a different background, like Stephen. So I have a story to tell, which is really important for me.
I saw it all in the Blackfield. And splinter cracks, summer tracks, paperbacks, we found them all in the Blackfield. In the shade, whistle blades, singing fades in the Blackfield. She wants to stay and talk all day, so I remark when it gets dark, all the pale things under the earth will reverse.
A little chunk of the classic Blackfield by Blackfield from the album Blackfield. One of my favourite high-concept albums that Kscope ever released is Norwegian orchestral doom gods Ulver, revisiting the dark side of late 60s US pop. An album of covers entitled Childhood's End. As the Vietnam War raged, it wasn't all paisley incense and peppermints, you know. And this project reminded us of this, as well as allowing Ulver to show their psych-pop smarts. It gets a timely reissue on the 22nd of March. Now, at the time of the album's release, frontperson Chris Rygg, had agreed to do gigs and promo for the first time ever. So when he came over to London, he and I chatted about this Vault Fast.
I do find it tremendously stressful, to be honest, because I'm by nature quite not too comfortable around too many people at the same time, but there were more joyous occasions than I expected, which was good and which kind of charged us in a positive way. So we're kind of playing ball with common rules of conduct in the music world, which we really haven't done before. We were never good at kind of selling ourselves, and to some extent I think that's worked for us, because you can do that too much and it gets transparent, and I think you have to say no to things that don't feel right. Yeah, make it more of a side thing, and then that's difficult when you're 35 and you don't really know anything else. It's a very frightening thought to kind of get back to the school bench and get an education at this point, so hopefully I'll last as long as Lemmy.
Closing track of Childhood's End by Ulver, originally recorded by United States of America. That's entitled Where Is Yesterday? Now, Osric Tentacles are enjoying a new career high with brand new music on Kscope, and Edwin's son Silas joining the band. The label continues getting the Ed remastering reissue releases to you. The next in the series is out now, Waterfall Cities, as a 2 LP vinyl set. This is a piece of the piece entitled Waterfall City. Right, now here's a chance to sludge rock out. An album by Lid, a heavy yet cute oddity, new to Kscope on vinyl and CD. Lid were Daniel Kavanagh of the much missed Anathema and Eric Wagner from Trouble, both in their doom metal years in the mid-90s. Suddenly they released a stoner rock album featuring a Monkees cover, and this, Lid, by Lid.
To think I might finally accept myself, in spite of all your help. You wear a mask with a big ass smiley face. You're better off anyway. You wouldn't like what I have to say, yeah. Living down inside, living down. Last stage of evolution, when man speaks with his gun. Don't need a light at the end of my tunnel.
Lid by Lid. It really sounds as though they had a right laugh doing that record. Right, grab a pencil, it's news time. We're going to be hearing from Nick Beggs in the next Kscope podcast. Yes, the Nick Beggs. This is because Trifecta have a new album coming out called The New Normal. It's out on the 12th of April. There's a new single, Beck and Call, which you can see on the Kscope channels. 3 members then of Stephen Wilson's band. Singer-songwriter and bass player Nick Beggs, keyboardist extraordinaire Adam Holtzman, and the internationally renowned drummer, let's call him Craig Blundell, combining jazz, fusion, progressive rock with a large soupçon of English wit. The new album is their second musical observation, 12th of April on Kscope. Gong, the Universal Ascension Tour, their live domination. What a great live band. Unending Ascending, of course, the previous tour. Gong have announced some more live shows across 2024. They're going to South America, Europe, UK festivals, plus later on in 2024 a proper extensive European tour. All this in addition to those shows coming up shortly with the Osrics. Clone have announced that they will be the special guests to Poland's pioneering progressive rock band Riverside, fronted by our friend Marius Dudar, of course. So Clone will be doing a stripped-down set in support of Riverside on the latter's UK and Ireland tour in May. Manson's Little Kicks, that's coming up shortly, released on clear vinyl for Record Store Day 2024. So dates for your diary then, so you can get them pre-ordered. These dates, of course, are subject to change. Stephen Wilson, Grace for Drowning, out now. 4.5 by Stephen Wilson is out on the 26th of April. Osrics, Yum Yum Tree, out now. The Pineapple Thief, then, 137 is out now. Abducted at Birth, 5th of April. Little Man, 24th of April. Bruce Soord, first LP, 12th of April as a CD issue. And then All This Will Be Yours, the 7th of June special issue. Right then, thank you very much as ever for listening to the Kscope podcast. Do please like and share and comment wherever you find it. For Record Store Day then, on the 20th of April, although of course every day is Record Store Day really, isn't it? There's going to be a Kscope edition of Little Kicks, the final Manson album, 2,000 copies only on transparent vinyl. This is I Can Only Disappoint You by Manson. Ta-ta!